picked it up before you even realized you were bored. No notification, no reason. Your hand just moved on its own, the screen lit up, and for a few seconds, your brain stopped doing whatever it was doing before. That uncomfortable silence in your own head, gone, just like that. Nobody told you to do it. You didn't decide to do it. It just happened. Again. And the strange part is, you already know it happens. You've watched yourself do it 100 times. You've even told yourself you'd stop. You've made the internal promise during the exact moment you were doing the thing you promised you'd stop. But the next quiet moment comes and the hand moves again, like it belongs to someone else. Maybe you've even tried to fix it. Deleted apps, set screen time limits, left the phone in another room. And it worked for a day, maybe two. Then something small happened, a dull afternoon, a weird mood, a pause in the conversation you didn't know how to fill, and the phone was back in your hand before the thought fully formed. People around you probably have opinions about this. They call it addiction. They say you're distracted, undisciplined, hooked. Like this is a moral failure wearing a touchscreen. Like the fix is just willpower and a little more self-respect. Like the people who don't struggle with it are simply made of stronger stuff. But that's not what this is, and they're not seeing the whole picture. What's actually happening when you can't put the phone down isn't laziness, it isn't weakness, it is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do: avoid discomfort as fast as possible. That's the real story behind phone habits. Not apps, not algorithms, not screen time reports. The story begins inside your own brain, in a system that was built for survival long before smartphones existed. And until you understand that system, nothing you try to fix the habit will hold for very long. Here's what the neuroscience actually says. Every time you feel a flicker of boredom, restlessness, or low-level anxiety, your brain registers it as a threat. Not a dramatic threat, a quiet one, the kind that feels like friction, like your mind is suddenly too loud or too empty, or sitting somewhere uncomfortable between the two, a tension without a name. Your brain doesn't like that. It never has. So it looks for the fastest available exit. For most of human history, that exit was movement, action, distraction through real-world engagement, talking to someone, finding food, doing something physical. But now there's a device within arm's reach that delivers novelty, stimulation, and social signal in under 2 seconds, faster than any natural exit has ever been, faster than your conscious mind can even register what's happening. Researchers at UC Santa Barbara found that even brief moments of boredom trigger the brain's seeking system, the same dopamine-driven circuit that motivates hunger, curiosity, and exploration. Your brain isn't being lazy when it reaches for the phone, it's being efficient. It found the fastest path from discomfort to stimulation, and it took it. Every single time it took it, the path got slightly more worn, slightly more automatic. Over time, that path becomes the default. Neural pathways are shaped by repetition. The more you reach for the phone during discomfort, the more reaching becomes the brain's default response to discomfort. This isn't a bad habit in the moral sense, it's a conditioned reflex in the neurological sense. Those are very different things. One is about character, the other is about wiring. Now, here's where it gets more personal. A lot of people who struggle most with phone habits grew up in environments where quiet felt unsafe, where silence meant tension was building in the next room, where being alone with your thoughts meant being alone with something heavy: grief, uncertainty, the particular exhaustion of a childhood that required you to be more alert than kids should have to be. The phone didn't create the need to escape uncomfortable feelings. That need was already there, shaped long before the device arrived. The phone just became the most frictionless tool to do it with, available instantly, always within reach, never judging you for coming back. Developmental psychologists call this emotional self-regulation. It's how people learn to manage internal states when sitting with them feels impossible. Children who grew up with inconsistent comfort, emotional unpredictability, or chronic low-grade stress often develop external regulation habits, meaning they need something outside themselves to calm the inside. Sugar, movement, distraction, humor when things aren't funny. Later, screens. The specific tool changes, the underlying need doesn't. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your nervous system found a way to cope with feelings that felt too large, and it worked, until it didn't, until the coping started costing more than it was returning. Here's the part most people miss when they try to quit. The phone isn't the problem. The uncomfortable feeling the phone is solving, that's what matters. Every time you go to fix the habit with discipline alone, blocking apps, deleting Instagram, setting timers, going on a digital detox, you're addressing the behavior but leaving the signal completely untouched. The discomfort is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. And a nervous system trained to escape discomfort will keep finding something to attach to. The counterintuitive truth is this. The goal is not to stop reaching for the phone. The goal is to become slightly more comfortable sitting in the moment just before you reach for it. That gap, the split second between feeling uncomfortable and grabbing the device, is where the entire habit lives. Most people try to eliminate the behavior at the end of that gap. They try to white-knuckle it through, override it, shame themselves out of it. But that approach treats the symptom. What actually changes the pattern is learning to sit inside that gap just a little longer. Expand that gap by even a few seconds, and the automatic reflex starts to lose its grip. Not all at once, slowly, genuinely.
Here's one thing that actually works, and it sounds almost too small to matter. When you feel the pull, don't fight it. Don't tell yourself no. Don't start a negotiation with your own brain about whether you deserve 5 minutes of scrolling. Just name what you're feeling before you act on it. Out loud if you can, in your head if not. I'm bored. I'm anxious. This silence feels uncomfortable and I don't know why. That's it. Just name it. This single act, labeling the emotion, has been shown in neuroscience research to reduce activity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, the part that reads discomfort as danger and screams for an exit. It's called affect labeling. Dr. Matthew Lieberman at UCLA spent years studying it. The finding was consistent. The moment you put language to a feeling, the emotional intensity drops. Not because you fixed anything, not because the feeling disappeared, because your prefrontal cortex, the thinking, choosing part of your brain, came briefly online. And in that brief moment, you're no longer just reacting, you're present. You don't need to meditate for 40 minutes. You don't need a dopamine detox weekend. You don't need to throw your phone in a river or announce a social media break to people who didn't ask. You just need to slow the reflex by 1 second. Name what's happening inside you, then decide. Some of the time, you'll still pick up the phone. That's fine. The habit doesn't dissolve overnight, and you're not failing when it doesn't. But some of the time, you won't. And those small moments of choosing, not suppressing, not fighting, actually choosing, are how the nervous system slowly learns that discomfort isn't an emergency, that stillness is survivable, that the quiet in your own head isn't something to run from. You're not someone who lacks discipline. You're someone whose brain learned to move fast through uncomfortable feelings. It did that because at some point it had to. That speed protected you. The cost is just higher now than it used to be. And recognizing that, really recognizing it, without judgment, is where something starts to shift. If this made something click for you, there's another layer to this that goes even deeper into why certain emotions feel unbearable in the first place and what that quietly reveals about how your mind learned to protect itself. That one tends to land harder than people expect.